Everything is fine here on Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. I'm Michael Mudge, joined by Zach Alt and Dustin DeFranco, here to talk some Mandalorian stuff for you. We just got done watching the most recent episode, which was chapter 23, The Spies, and we're going to bring that to you. But first, just want to jump into some celebration news really quick. We're going to pound through this. We're kind of on a tight schedule tonight, so we're going to keep this as quick as possible. We're even skipping the pleasantries today, so hello to everyone, but here we go. All right. So I've just gotten this broken down by day. And I know, Zach, you're kind of more of the celebration expert for us. So as we break this down, if there's anything we missed, please let us know.
I'll pop in.
There you go. So on the 7th, first we got a Ahsoka trailer. We got the announcement that 3 new movies will be released. One by James Mangold, one by Dave Filoni, and one by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. And the Mangold one we're going back to the Dawn of the Jedi. Isn't that right? We're going back to like the start of it all for the Jedi.
Yeah, it sounds like it's almost like an origin story of the Jedi. That's what Mangold made it sound like, and Kathleen Kennedy, that it was going to be sort of like almost the discovery of the Force, like about the first Jedi. So that could be super interesting to get a good sense of how the Order started.
We've been calling for Old Republic, and we're going to get even earlier than the Old Republic. Mm-hmm. So that kind of opens it up for them to be able to do anything, really, which is pretty awesome. So I wonder if they'll get George Lucas's opinion at all in how he thought the origins of the Jedi would start. Do you think he's going to be included in any of that?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think for sure Filoni, which I would imagine that there's like Filoni and Lucas, I believe, are still have like a pretty positive relationship. So I'm sure it'll kind of make its way in that way. And the fact that like Lucas kind of seeded at least some hints of that, like through like a lot of the Clone Wars and the Wills, and them being sort of I think the idea was they were the sort of the originators of the Force to some extent. So my guess is there'll be some of that I would imagine will come through Filoni.
Sure, that makes sense.
Which I think will be cool.
No, I think you're right. That makes total sense. And then speaking of Dave Filoni, so his movie is going to focus on the New Republic, and there's a lot of rumors that, and we were talking about this before we jumped on, that you could get Luke or Leia or Han even brought back into this. Whether that's true or not, who knows? But I mean, it's definitely open to the possibility at this point. And this will be his first live action feature film. So I'm excited to see what he can bring to the big screen in like a 2-hour long, movie. So excited for that. And then Sharmeen. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, can we just, I think the speculation is very strong that it's just going to be the culmination of well, we know that it's the culmination of the Mandoverse and Ahsoka and Thrawn. Like, I'm hoping it's just going to be like sort of the Thrawn trilogy packed into a movie.
Do you think there'll be more than one, or do you think it'll be just one?
Well, it sort of seems like their idea is to seed all the like major plot points in the show and then do like an event movie, kind of like the Avengers. Now, my question is, do they end up deciding to like split it into 2? So you almost have like how Infinity War got split into 2 films, like something like that, where you have the series culminate into that sort of event movie, and then there's so much there that they have to sort of split it.
Personally, I would hope they would do that for 2 reasons. One, I want more Star Wars movies, so that 2 is better than 1, but more so because I think there's so much that's being built in these shows that's going to be a lot to cover and resolve in 1 movie. So I would hope that they would do the Avenger style and break up that Infinity War Endgame type situation. So, and then Sharmeen's will take place after the sequel trilogy. Rey, so Daisy Ridley will be reprising her role as Rey, and this is going to take place like 15 years after that trilogy takes place, and her building a new Jedi Order and where we are with that. So interested to see where things are moving forward from the sequel trilogy. So technically the Skywalker saga is not complete because Rey has now announced that she's a Skywalker, and her story is going to continue in full-length film. So buckle up. We're about to get more Skywalker saga.
Yeah. Well, it's my guess is it seems like the arc that Luke was supposed to sort of have an expanded universe / like Lucas's sort of plan for that it seems like they're just sort of going to give that to Rey, which I think will be cool. I'm excited for Rey to come back.
I thought Daisy Ridley. Yeah, I thought Daisy really did a great job too.
Yeah, 100%.
And I think Rey is a fascinating character. I know that character is very not controversial, but the fanship is kind of split on her. But I'm all for her. I think she did a great job, and I think interesting character. So
yeah, I totally agree. I mean, her character is great. Like my faults, which have been very well known with the sequel saga, have nothing to do with the acting or the characters in it. Really, it's more just the story.
And what they did with Luke.
Right.
All right. So further news on that day, Star Wars Andor Season 2 will premiere in 2024. So we already knew there was going to be another season for Andor. They're saying it's going to be 2024. Whether that happens in 2024 or not, we'll see. Everything tends to get pushed back. But then the Acolyte, they had some more news revolving around that. It was told that Frozen meets Kill Bill is how they're describing this show. And they also
don't like that. I mean,
I like Kill Bill. I don't like Frozen.
I like Kill Bill. Yeah.
That is such a range of options that we could.
Well, that's true too. But when you say Kill Bill, I feel like the audience will know what you're talking about when you say Kill Bill, like what to expect. When you say Frozen, I have no idea what to expect or what that means. Like, does that mean it's going to be for all audiences? Like, does that mean it's going to be like a story / musical? I don't think it's going to be that, but like, what does that mean?
My hunch, my guess would be maybe they're talking about the sisterly bond in Frozen. Like that because that's like the unique thing about Frozen. I feel like in that Disney princess movie is like the two sisters being together. So maybe there's something with that where maybe one's a Jedi and one's a Sith. Who knows?
Yeah, because you've got one sister that's the baddie, that's the Frozen one that's locked up in the kingdom, and then you've got the other one that's kind of the good one. So yeah, that's a good analysis there.
Or maybe it's like, maybe they both start out like as Jedi, and one falls through some sort of series of events and she takes issue with other Jedi, and that's would explain the Kill Bill sort of move. I don't know. I'm with you though. I like the Kill Bill idea. To see like a Sith Lord go on a huge revenge quest, that would be sweet. Yeah,
and if they say Frozen and Kill Bill, I feel like it's a female lead. Because both of those are female lead movies. So my assumption, at least. And then Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny got some more news and a trailer released. We won't dive into that. I mean, it's Lucasfilm, so I wanted to call it out, but we want to talk Star Wars. And the first Star Wars Skeleton Crew trailer was released. Now, we don't have that yet. At least I haven't seen anything. But at Celebration, they are known to release some trailers specifically for the audience that's there and not release it to the public. So I'm guessing this is one of those. Is that correct, Zach?
Yeah, that's what I heard too. I actually didn't know that they showed a Skeleton Crew trailer. I'm not surprised. And I know I haven't seen actually any leaks of that, which is surprising.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that too. But they said that the trailer focused on a younger cast of characters, honed in on very much, or it says that the Goonies inspiration, and they show kids in a class and then going through a residential area, running through a forest, and much more. So it doesn't seem like it was too revealing of a trailer, but just probably something to show the audiences. And like I said, they did something similar with the Acolyte. It was just a clip, and in that clip, you get someone saying the Force is powerful. It is a power we must respect. So two trailers or clips that we haven't seen yet, but were released at Celebration. And then moving on to Saturday, April 8th, it was revealed that Lars Mikkelsen will be reprising Grand Admiral Thrawn, which we've been speculating. We've heard rumors for a long time, and all signs were pointing to that. So now we finally have confirmation that Lars will be it. And there was an extended trailer that was released too, showing his face, giving confirmation. Obviously, in the Ahsoka trailer that they released on the first day, we just see the back of the head, so you have no idea. But
wait, there's a new one that shows his face?
Yeah, there was an extended cut they showed at the panel,
Celebration. Yeah.
But that's not been released to the public that shows his face. The screenshots did leak of his face though.
Yeah.
So I've seen it.
And there are a few different scenes. What's that?
Is it good face or bad face?
Oh, I mean, it's Lars Mikkelsen with a blue face, so they didn't really do anything to him. It just essentially painted his face.
Yeah, with the red eyes. I thought it looks good. Some of the screenshots look goofy, but it's also people with iPhones like trying to snap
pixelated.
Like a quick shot.
Yeah,
where he's in like a weird, grimace
position.
At times. Yeah. So, but my favorite story is because like social went nuts. So because they released the Ahsoka trailer, like was that day 2, and then they announced that Lars was Thrawn the next day. There was like a day gap.
Yeah.
And so the Ahsoka trailer went public, and everyone on social media is frantically trying to figure out with that shot, because there's a back ahead Thrawn shot of like who plays him. And it was like hilarious that people were taking Lars Mikkelsen photos and like lining it up. And it like lined up perfectly. So everyone's like, it's Lars, it's gotta be. Like but I thought that was pretty fun for like,
don't underestimate the power and the imagination of Star Wars fans, right?
Yeah, and the power of the internet.
Exactly. But yeah, if you haven't checked out, I mean, they're probably going to try and take that trailer down. If not, it's been taken down already, because again, it's just someone with a phone recording the extended one. And we were talking through chat earlier today, like they show an E-wing in there. Sabine is riding like a speeder, like she's escaping and flying down those long streets of Lothal. So there's some pretty cool additions to that extended trailer. So
there's a couple lightsaber shots too, I believe.
Yeah, lightsaber shots.
Sabine having Ezra's lightsaber.
Yeah, and it's been confirmed too that those are orange lightsabers in the trailer. They aren't red Sith. It's some different group that we don't know yet. I mean, maybe we've seen them in the past, but for this story, we aren't sure yet. But they are orange lightsabers and they are Force wielders. So
yeah,
even though
I thought one of them was going to be like the Joris Sabath character from Heir to the Empire, but it turns out he's actually got a different name.
Okay.
They've released his name.
Baylan.
Yeah, Baylan. And so my guess, I think it will be cool though, maybe if they pull some of that character's backstory from Joris Sabath, because it's a cool backstory.
Yeah.
When are we gonna get Quinlan Voss? Come on.
We need to see some Quinlan soon.
At some point, we're going to see him. I feel like if you can't name drop him in the Kenobi show and then not go anywhere with that.
Maybe next episode of Mando, we'll see.
Maybe. And I know there's been rumors about Mara Jade being the female in the well, I don't know specifically the trailer, but maybe not, because didn't Mara Jade first start out as like a bad character?
Yeah, she was the Hand of the Emperor.
That's right.
Her title. So she was. She actually initially, the way that she meets Luke is she's trying to kill him.
Yep.
So she's trying to, because Luke kills the Emperor, and she was really close to the Emperor, and so she's like a slight force sensitive but untrained assassin type character. And so she tries to hunt and kill Luke down. Yeah. So, and then obviously lots of character progression happen. I don't see Mara Jade making it to canon though, because it's like George Lucas hated that character.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's actually the direction they'll go, but it is kind of, interesting to think about if they could potentially bring that in or bring her in.
I think I said, it's Mara Jade. Like, I was excited about it because I like that character. But
well, and I mean, is she in? I haven't read Heir to the Empire. Is she in that? And they literally name drop that title in the trailer.
Yes, that was my
which has
favorite part. My favorite parts of the trailer.
Was that a tip of the cap to the book and saying, we're going to pull some of those elements in, or is it like an indication that's the route we're going to go? We're going to like take that story and bring it to, live action. Who knows? But I don't think it'll be exactly the same. I think it's more along the lines that they might pull some in, or it was just a tip of the cap to the author, because isn't it like an anniversary year this year to that book?
No, Heir to the Empire was 91. So maybe the second in the book would be an anniversary year, because I think it was maybe 91, 93, 95. Don't quote me on that. Because Heir to the Empire. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but that's been the most successful expanded universe book, right? Or at least recognized as so. Okay.
I mean, it was like the first of them too. Like that was the thing, is those things sold like crazy, because you had like no Star Wars content between 1983 and 1991. And then they announced those books and they released them and they sold like crazy.
Super popular. Yep.
Yeah, they were really popular. And not to mention, they're great. They're really good.
Yeah. Now I have to read that before Ahsoka starts. So I'm going to rewatch Rebels and I'm going to read that book before Ahsoka comes out in August, right? Isn't that what it said? So we've got time.
Yeah, August. Mm-hmm.
And then other news, Rebecca Henderson will play Vanessa Rowe from the High Republic in The Acolyte. So we are getting one of the High Republic characters that will be coming into the show, because I know this show takes place sometime after the events of the High Republic. So I think it's like 50 years before the prequels. So I'm sure it'll be more like a Jedi Elder she'll play, but we'll see. And then Star Wars Return of the Jedi will return to theaters on April 28th. So get your tickets if you want to go see it on the big screen. And it was also announced that there will be a second season of Tales of the Jedi. Don't know what route they're going to go. The last season 1 seemed to focus more around Dooku. Will they focus more around another character or what? We don't know yet, but there will be another season. And then April 9th on Sunday, Star Wars High Republic Phase 3 teaser and news, and 10 new books revealed. And then on the 10th, Bad Batch Season 3 is coming in 2024, and it will be the final season of Bad Batch. So only 3 seasons of Bad Batch. Visions Volume 2 trailer released. Young Jedi Adventures trailer released. And then they talked about the next Star Wars celebration, which there will be no celebration in 2024. They're skipping a year, unfortunately. And then 2025, it'll be in Chiba, Japan on April 18th through the 20th. So nothing on the state side for 3 straight years, but
start saving now.
Yeah. We have just under 2 years to save up. So it gives us time, right?
Right. And it's
you'll know I actually having a 2-year-old at that point.
Right. Maybe that's one of those times where I'm like, all right, grandparents from Wisconsin, you said that you'll come up and watch the kid for a week if we want to take trips. So this is one of those trips.
This is one of those moments.
I'm going to Japan.
Yeah.
I will be on that flight with you, Mudge.
I think we should all try and go. I would love to get all
I've
4
never
of
been
us.
to Japan, and
Either
I would
have
really
I.
love to go.
I've never been overseas.
You've never been overseas?
I've been to like Puerto Rico or the Dominican.
Let's get you over there for Japan. Let's do it, guys.
Can we fly first class? It'll be $10,000.
If you can pay for that.
Hey, it's only slightly more expensive than staying at the Galactic Star Cruiser.
Well, that's true. That's good perspective. That's so sad.
Yeah.
You get like your own room though. That's kind of cool, right?
For the first class on a flight to Japan?
I don't know. There's like different things.
You get that whole like area, then you get like a recliner seat and everything.
The pod.
I've seen, the pod. I've seen flights like that. But yeah, like out of Asia, Japan is probably the number 1 country I've wanted to visit. But what is New Zealand considered? That's not Asia, is it?
I don't think so. I think it's Europe.
No, it's definitely not Europe. New Zealand?
gonna Google this.
Is it just considered like one of the oceanic countries, or?
Hold on.
Maybe it's like Oceania. I don't know. That's a good question.
But like New Zealand, if New Zealand is considered
maybe it's
part
Australian.
Yeah, it's close to Australia. But like I've always wanted to visit New Zealand, Australia, and Japan. So we're gonna have, like Zach said, we have time. So let's save up and make this happen.
Oceania.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, if it was oceanic.
Yeah, someone in the Star Wars Celebration group posted something that I thought was pretty funny too. Because it was a bunch of people in the UK were like, "Hey, we all want to go to Japan. Maybe we should all book the same flight and have a massive Star Wars fan flight
so
from the
cool.
UK to Japan."
Just like a Star Wars party flight.
Yeah. I was like, that's just that's an amazing idea.
Someone could buy out
1,000 people are all pumped.
Someone could buy out all those tickets and easily sell it to just specifically Star Wars fans. That wouldn't be hard to do. What was that, Dustin?
I said, I don't think they'd let us bring our lightsabers.
Not with that attitude.
Yeah. I heard you can carry them on. Someone told me that.
Oh, really?
At least I read it somewhere.
Do they need to be the ones that like disconnect or something?
Yeah,
or?
You have to be able to like disconnect the blades, I think.
All right, I got a few of those. So let's bring some of those and we can each get one.
How much I get to Mando because
yeah,
do the lightning round.
Yeah, I'm just wrapping that. So any final thoughts on Celebration or news released? Zach, anything I missed or?
Nothing I can think of. I think like you hit all the major moments. I think like I mean the Ahsoka trailer looks, that show,
that was
like,
the highlight.
I'm very excited for that show. I think more so than like Mando season 3. Like even when I saw I just for some reason couldn't get excited for the show. Even with like the trailers, that trailer, I was like, I am amped for this show.
Yeah.
And so I'm pumped to see where it's leading to as well. Like if they do lead to that Thrawn trilogy, Heir to the Empire moment, like I'm just gonna have a complete geek out moment and just enjoy it.
And I will,
very fun.
I will say Rosario Dawson did give a plug that the potential for a season 2 is based on how well season 1 does. Now, I feel like that's Lucasfilm and Disney being like, say that. We already know we're going to do a season 2, but let's make sure the viewings and ratings are high on this either way. So I believe it'll be more than one season. So I'm happy about that.
Yeah, the other thing which reminds me, now that you say that, is that Ewan McGregor publicly said he wants to do another season of Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah, yep, and he did at Celebration last year too.
Yeah, but now he's like very much like, I want to do it.
It's going to happen.
Kathleen Kennedy was kind of more like, hey, we don't have anything in active production yet. So I'm like, my theory the whole time when I was watching, I think that was like why I was like, when I was watching Obi-Wan season 1, I was kind of okay with the slower progression because I'm like, oh, they're going to do another season.
Yeah.
And so, I'm kind of hopeful that they'll do one more. I don't think we need much more than one more, to be honest, but.
And I don't think the next one would even really include Vader. I feel like it would be completely separate from Vader.
Yeah, I would agree.
Maybe it's Quinlan. All right. So we will move on to talking through Mandalorian season 3, chapter 23, The Spies. I was happy to see it was 53 minutes long. That's the length of these episodes that we need. Before we dive into it, any initial thoughts, any initial reactions on the episode itself? What stood out to you guys, and what are you interested in seeing or hoping happens in the next episode?
My reaction is, fuck yes.
How awesome was that?
It was boner jams the entire time, and they did a good job building suspense. We talked about the initial scene with the Imperial Council. You're all like, this is freaking phenomenal. My only complaint with the Imperial Council is none of those people on the Imperial Council were intimidating at all. Like they're, you know,
except for Gideon. Except for Gideon.
Yeah, but Gideon, I mean, like on the holograms.
Sure. Yeah.
Really? Like
it's because you don't need an intimidating character because Thrawn is coming. So there's your intimidation.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay, but like, in the original trilogy, when they had like the meetings in the boardrooms, right? Like everyone was kind of like badass in their own way. You know, like Tarkin is there. Like, you know, there's no one in that on those holograms there. I'm like, oh man, gotta watch out for those guys.
And to that note, I wish, like, why do we always have to have bad guy characters look like bad guy characters? Like, can we just have bad guy characters look like normal people? Like, you've got that one guy that looks like he's just an overweight slob, doesn't shave and everything. I guess, what's his name? Hellion. He looked like a regular dude. He looked like a regular guy.
I'm excited that Hellion is
in Clone Wars. Is that him, Zach?
He was introduced in Rebels, like towards the end of season 3, I think. He's from the Thrawn trilogy. He's from Heir to the Empire. He's Thrawn's second in command in that trilogy.
Who am I thinking of that did the voiceover for Clone Wars? He was
yeah, you're talking about the narrator guy?
Yeah, Admiral something.
Because
it's not the same guy. Because he had a very distinct voice.
Yes, but that guy did become an Imperial, and he is in the council room, or not council room. He's in that like round table room of A New Hope when Vader approaches. He's in that. He's a Moff. He's a Moff. He's in white in that scene.
Yeah, he was also in Andor.
That might be.
He was on the ISB council.
He could be. I don't know. I would have to look into that.
Umbaran or something. Trying to think what his name is.
If our listeners out there know, send it in the chat. I'm watching the chat, so if you know it, tell us. But
anyway, I thought it was.
I know who you're talking.
I thought the whole freaking episode was just chef's kiss.
How about you, Zach?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was. I think what I was saying is, before we hopped on, is it was nice because they left all these threads hanging. And I'm like, I was really worried that they were going to not be able to tie it. And then this episode just kind of took all those threads and like, yep, this is what's happening. And so that was pretty cool to see. I think my initial reaction was like 12 out of 10.
Admiral Yularen.
Yularen.
That's him.
There's so many names to remember in these shows that it's impossible to remember them all. And Imperials look very much the same, especially older ones. They're all, white-haired, white mustaches and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Palian looked like the Monopoly guy.
Yeah. Well, he's got the big mustache, which is what he's got in the books too.
He was just missing a monocle.
So I missed this though, and you guys were texting about it. So there's a relation with Hux. He's related to Hux.
So it's either Hux's dad or it's his older brother. There's a relation. Yeah, it's supposed to be.
It's got to be dad.
Sequels, I would think so.
He seems a little old to be a brother. Okay.
Yeah. It's probably his dad. There is a relationship. I think that was confirmed somewhere on social media.
Okay. That's fascinating. I didn't even had no idea of that connection. So I'm glad you called that out in the text, Dustin.
And you know that meme from LA, like what's the movie where like he's like that. He's like pointing at the TV. He's got beer.
Oh, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, yeah, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's what you should have seen me. That's literally what I was like. Oh, it's Hux. It's Hux.
That's one of the most useful memes out there. I love using it. I use it all the
time. But I was pumped about the introduction of the Imperial Council. Like that was something I really liked in the expanded universe that they now have sort of brought into canon, where after Palpatine dies, the Empire doesn't just kind of crumble. They suffer a huge defeat, and then they end up being ruled by this council of different sort of warlord type leaders. That eventually, after Thrawn dies, that council gets more sort of disparate, and it kind of folds. But then it reemerges like later on in canon in the expanded universe, as the Empire gets kind of shoved to the edges of the galaxy. So I thought I really liked that they included that, because I think that was like a really cool thing to bring from the expanded universe that kind of, I guess, starts to seed the idea of how the First Order comes about, which is probably a good thing to start doing in these shows.
Yeah.
That theme is also displayed quite heavily in the Old Republic MMO.
Okay, explain.
Well, there's a lot of like Sith councils that kind of rule.
Okay.
That you know what? I feel like they did it in the game because they need to throw a lot of like Sith like people at you, and so they create a council so they can have like 8 people that you can kill.
And that would be before the rule of 2, right? So
yeah, well, that's not till Bane.
Yeah, that's not till Bane.
Bane is late High Republic, I think, in the timeline.
It's got to be
because
he's 1,000 years after Old Republic or KOTOR.
Okay.
Because I'm reading it right now. It's good.
You took my recommendation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is KOTOR 3,000 years before prequel?
2,000.
Probably about right.
Okay. That's what I thought at least. All right. So I'm going to try to jump through this as quickly as possible, just in the respect of time. When I'm going to be talking through these different sections of that episode. And when I finish, give me your thoughts and how you felt about that portion of the episode. So we start out and we're in Coruscant and we're kind of in this like underground club type scene. And you see Elia Kane walking around, which is G68. And she's kind of being, slick and sly and undetected. And she meets up with an Imperial probe droid. And right away you're thinking, all right, our suspicions were right. She's still playing part of the Empire one way or another. And here it is. And she gets connected with Gideon and she kind of tells him the situation with the Mandalorians and on Navarro. And originally he was thinking New Republic, but nope, it wasn't New Republic that's getting involved. It's the Mandalorians. And then we cut to the council scene that we were talking about, and we get a name drop of Thrawn. So Pelion, he's the one that's talking about Thrawn, right? It was Pelion and that he's connected with him. And Gideon is like, you speak of Thrawn, but we've never seen Thrawn, or how do we know he still exists? And Pelion's like, the success of the mission relies upon the secrecy of him. So I cannot reveal him. And then they talk about Hutts delivering on Project Necromancer. What's Project Necromancer? I can't remember what that is.
Wouldn't that make that'd be Palpatine?
That's the assumption. I don't think they explain it. Like, I think
Necromancer is somebody who brings.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
That's I think that's the theory, that they're starting to create clone bodies.
So the Hutts are involved. Hutts are involved with Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of fascinating.
I didn't even know Dungeons and Dragons was in Star Wars, but they're using terms like Necromancer.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I just realized that's an interesting thread line. So there's another Thrawn trilogy, or like 2 books that are still expanded universe. So there's the original trilogy, and then there's the 2 books post the original trilogy, which I've also read, where it's not Thrawn. They bring a fake Thrawn in.
Okay.
So it masquerade as Thrawn. They're not as good, obviously, as the first 3. But that was kind of interesting because some of those comments they say in that, I'm like, oh, like they're hearkening a little bit. They're playing a little wink, wink at those books, because in that there's this big thread line of like, oh, we haven't seen Thrawn, so he's dead. He's not around. And then they bring I think it's Pelion, actually, because I think Pelion survives and he brings this like fake Thrawn with him to basically get the remnants of the Empire back together.
So do you think Pelion's talking about the real Thrawn here, or do you think he's talking about like, okay.
I think it's just a little bit of a wink, nod, like to some of that stuff, maybe.
Yeah. And I love that dispute in this, that, power struggle here, because Gideon is like, we need a new leader. We can't rely on a leader that's like non-existent, that we have no proof. So we need a new leader coming in. And I feel like he's kind of boosting himself here, and that he wants to become that new.
That's absolutely what he's doing.
And then he makes a request. He talks about the Mandalorians, and he wants some interceptors. He wants some bombers. He wants Praetorian guards, and he wants to take care of the Mandalorians and essentially wipe them out of the galaxy. And after this speech he gives, he talks about long live the Empire. So to me, this is still like signs of leading towards the First Order, but just kind of in the preliminary stages of this. And I did find it fascinating too, which is also kind of indication to the First Order. They're talking about there are still many people out there that are loyal to the Empire. There's all these little pockets of them out there, and they're getting tired of following rules and regulations of the New Republic. So I just love this analysis we always get between the New Republic and the Empire, or the Republic and the Empire. They're like one and the same entities. Just it depends on what allegiance you land on. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just like the Separatists and the the Republic.
The Republic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of like, and this is a little bit of what I wish they sort of would have done with the sequel saga from a politics standpoint. Because in the expanded universe, what they end up doing is that they never fully defeat the Empire, but the Empire basically forms like this coalition, and so it ends up being like sort of geopolitics today, where you have the Empire that controls certain star systems, and then you have the New Republic. The New Republic's much bigger, so I was kind of hoping that maybe they would go that direction with the sequel saga, which I thought would be kind of cool. Because you have this sort of shaky truce that ends up getting broken and causes more conflict.
But in the Old Republic.
Yeah.
I mean,
story is always time.
The game is really cool because you fight alongside the Sith because you have a greater enemy that you need to defeat. And Malgus is the one who convinces people to do that.
Well, that's kind of the same with the Mandalorians, though, too, because they're not always on good terms, but now they're going to come together to fight the Empire. So it's a common story that we hear in Star Wars.
Yep.
Or just in human, nature.
Well, that's true. So then we cut to Navarro, and we see like the citizens are like cleaning up all the rubble and everything. And then you see this large shadow being casted over the city because of Star Cruisers coming in, which, they think it's the Empire, which understandably so. But then they're like, wait a minute, no, there's a huge Mandalorian logo underneath it. So it's not the Empire.
That would have been a bitch to paint.
But that was such a cool scene. I thought that shot was phenomenal. Like,
I just wish they would have put a bumper sticker at the end.
But I think that's also an indication of how proud that people is. Like we are so proud to be the Mandalorian. We're going to invest all this work just to paint this huge ass logo on the bottom of an Imperial ship, essentially giving the middle finger to people like, no, we are Mandalorian. So I thought that was a really cool scene.
They should have put the bumper sticker. This is the way.
That would have been so funny. This is the way. So obviously this is, Axe Wolves. This is Bo-Katan, like the recruiting Mandalorians coming back to Navarro, because that was the mission that was given to Bo, like unite the Mandalorian people under one banner, and we'll fight the Empire. So then they show up, they essentially make camp, and they come across or are introduced to the Children of the Watch. So that's the Armorers group. There's like that standoff scene where you've got one Mandalorian group that still have their helmets on with the Children of the Watch, and then you've got on the other side the Mandalorian group that are taking all their helmets off, and then the Armorer kind of breaks the tension. It was like, we welcome you, we'll make a feast, let's get together and figure out what we're going to do.
Which the feast, I think, was one of those fucking birds that they saved.
Was it really? I didn't even pay attention.
It looked like it.
It could have been. There was
no one responded to me. I texted.
Oh, I didn't see that. It looked
like one of those bird things that they.
That's hilarious.
I don't know if that's true or not, but you don't see those things anymore.
It was the rowdy one of the three. They were like, we got to get rid of this one. It's causing havoc. So, and then Grief Karga comes in and presents him with like a welcome gift of like this wine, alcohol from Coruscant. But then he's like, I got another gift for you. And it's IG-11, but it's also not IG-11, because it's IG-12 now. It's a reprogrammed, modified, and not really a droid anymore. Like they put it, it's a vehicle. And there's a little compartment in the middle. And when they said there was a compartment, and I'm like, okay, this is where Grogu's going in for sure. And sure enough, Grogu gets put in there, and he's going to be the one like manning this droid. And
hey, can I ask something?
Yeah.
Why the fuck would they leave like him just so exposed? Like you couldn't build like a little cockpit for him,
or like a ray shield. Maybe there's a future ray shield that can be put up in there.
Like it's just like Mando's always stay back. I'm like, give him like a Veskar like
merchandise. They have to be able to show Grogu to be able to
still show him. There's clear glass.
Yeah,
plexiglass.
I was like, I was fine with it, but I kind of was hoping that we would get like a little Babu Frank in there, like for like multiple episodes, because I do like those alien
and Zelians.
Yeah.
Was that Babu Frick? It looks like Babu Frick, but they won't name drop.
I call all those aliens Babu Frick because that's
okay.
Yeah. He sounded like him.
Yeah, but I love that we now have. I don't know if you would classify it as Grogu's first words or not, but he can apparently say yes or no using the droids. And I'm sorry, I thought that was fucking hilarious.
That was good. That was great.
how they use that for him to be speaking, because he was like that annoying little kid, going through that no stage. Like, all right, we built this for Grogu. Yes. And then Din's like, no, I think he's too young. No. So I don't know. I thought that was hilarious.
Dustin and I, as dads, and Mike, soon to be. Well, no, soon to be. We could all relate to that
and you're
scene.
like, oh my god, this is so cool. And then like 2 minutes later, you're like, fuck.
They won't stop saying those words.
Yeah.
When the day they learn no is the day that you lose control.
Who directed this episode, by the way? Who did this one?
Fukuyama. Right?
Really? Oh, he did such a great job then. The humor in this, especially this part, was perfect. It's not too much, but enough to make you be like, okay, that's funny. And then like they're even walking through the marketplace, and Grogu, of course, just goes straight to like one of the vendors with the food and just starts eating these nut things. And then you get a Meiluron in there too that they grab, but Din ends up paying for it. So, I mean, I think we figured that IG-11 would be coming back, or IG-12, but I never expected it in this way, but I thought it was pretty cool. Again, another way to sell merchandise. Now they can use that same figure from what is it, Black Series, and now just put Grogu in the middle of it. So
yeah, that was definitely to sell toys.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, there's gonna be there probably will be like an electronic toy soon that will just do the yeses and nos. Like, and
that's gonna be a good thing and a bad thing.
Yeah.
So then we go to the Mandalorian camp, and they are feasting. Children of the Watch, they're still wearing the
birds.
Yep. So Dustin made the mention. I know you had to jump off really quick and move location, Zach, but he was saying he thought that could have been one of the birds.
And yeah, it could have been. I wasn't paying attention.
Either was I
the whole time. I was just walking downstairs.
Oh, okay. Oh, well done.
Yeah.
So yeah, feasting potentially on one of those birds that they captured. And Bo starts talking to the group and saying that they need to take their homeworld back. We know that it's no longer poisonous, but there are still dangers there. I'm wondering what she's referring to as the dangers, like those,
like a big fucking aardvark that comes out of the fucking
those primitive figures. Yeah, but she didn't know that yet. Was she speaking of like the mythosaur, or was she thinking more of like the creatures they encountered, or
the creatures they encountered? I think was what she was referencing.
She mentioned she even mentioned like, the bombing has awakened some ancient.
Yeah, but when she said that makes me think of the mythosaur, like waking an ancient species, like
I because the mythosaur is somebody they revere, so I don't think they're
right. No, I agree with that, but I was just interesting choices of words in that line. But
By the way, I want to point out that, like, going back to the Grogu thing in the robot, that, you know, when they put like Luke in an X-wing, you can still like see him. They put Iron Man in a suit, and you still get like a you know, they could make it work.
Yeah, but if you sell a toy, you can't see him.
What? Yes, you can. It's a little
covered.
lid that comes down, and you get to see his face, and then he doesn't pop out every 2 seconds when the kid's going like. Rah!
I mean, I agree with you. I'm just trying to explain it.
I think your explanation doesn't fit the bill.
I agree, which is why I agree with you. But essentially they're kind of talking about, it's like a pep rally. We want to take back Mandalore. What?
It's a pep rally. I thought that was
funny. So she talks about like what the plan is. Like they need to go do recon of it. We'll fly our fleet, like orbiting the system. We'll go in and scope it out, and then if we get the green light to go, we'll bring everyone down. But essentially, like, Navarro's nice, but we want our homeworld back. And it was one of those moments where she's like, all right, who's going to join me? And then I am Spartacus type of a thing, but everyone's like, I will, you know, I'm joining. I'll volunteer. What were they saying again? What was the line? They all said the same thing. I will go.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
This is my only
gripe
negative for the episode, but like, these things are so cliche where they like split up the group. Like they did this like joke in Scary Movie where, you know, a group of people, they wanted to split off, and they're like, we know how this goes. Like, we're not, you know what I mean? Like, why can't they just bring the whole fleet down? Like, would it strengthen numbers? You know? Oh no, let's just take a little party, you know? And I thought it was going to be the opposite, where like the fleet gets ambushed by the Empire.
Yeah.
Right? I'm really glad that they did it
the way they did.
The reverse way.
Yeah.
I like that, but it's still cliche. It's even more cliche that, you know, now you get this little group that's, you know, away from their fleet. And of course, the MacGuffin is that they don't have communication with the, you know, up with the fleet. So,
well, and of course it's,
yeah, I was gonna say, I love the fact that you like all of a sudden they just walk into an Imperial base. Like that was so cool. I was like, oh wow, I did not expect that.
I wasn't expecting that.
You saw I texted you right when that happened, didn't? I'm like, oh, they were on Mandalore the whole time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was pretty cliche too. Like, of course, Din's the first one to volunteer, and he says, me and Grogu. And then it's all the characters that we know that are the first ones to say that we will go. Yeah. So that was kind of cliche, but I mean, I understand why they do that. So then they start putting their plans in motion. They're shown hyper jumping or going into light speed to Mandalore. Bo is flying down to the surface, and she has all those people that volunteered to do kind of their recon. Meanwhile, the rest of the fleet stays in orbit. They land down on the surface, and there was I thought the suspension that they were building up was really good in this, because I was almost anticipating something to happen right away, and it really didn't. But they essentially gave the all clear, and then they start doing their scouting. And in their scouting, they see something coming in from a distance. And I should have known right away that, of course, it would be something like Mandalorian. But it looked like a pirate ship. And I was like, God, can this please be Hondo? I've been waiting so long to see live action Hondo. And I mean, did he ever meet the Mandalorians? Hondo?
I don't think so.
Not to my knowledge. Really, I know, obviously, Sabine.
Right. Yeah. But either way, turns out that these are survivors of the purge on Mandalore. They've got like this broken down ship, and their armor's all like rusted and old, and they look all disheveled. But they're talking from afar. They recognize Bo's voice, and they say, you know, we've always been loyal to you. We're still loyal to you. So we will serve you. And I thought it was interesting too. They were talking about the whole situation of like Bo was being honest about what transpired. Like she actually surrendered to the Empire, and gave up her, the Empire was like, if you give up your weapons and everything, we won't harm any other Mandalorians. They'll all survive. So that's when she gave up the Darksaber, which I think is important because that's how Moff Gideon ends up getting it. So she surrenders the Darksaber to the Empire in return for the lives of the Mandalorians. But Moff Gideon, of course, didn't follow through with that and ended up bombing Mandalore till Kingdom Comes. So very interesting how that transpired. But in terms of what's happening right now, that did not phase these survivors. They still found themselves loyal to Bo-Katan. So anything further on that from you guys? I think it was
that was like a castaway ship, like I was waiting for Wilson to show up. Wilson.
Well, I did think it was important too that this is where the armor revealed to them that Death Watch is no more, because they're like, you're the ones of the old ways. Are you Death Watch? And the armor is like, Death Watch exists no more. So I thought that was pretty important.
By the way, do you think that like the Mandalorians had been living on this planet for a long time? Could have mentioned that there was like a giant armadillo fucker that was, hanging around. Like they knew that those exist, right? Like,
well,
guys,
and Zach and I were kind of talking about this before you jumped on. I have a hunch that might be the Zillo Beast, and the Zillo Beast obviously is something that the Empire wanted to keep secret.
That is not the Zillo Beast.
Oh, I don't know.
That is not the Zillo Beast.
Or something. I mean,
it was unclear. I have no idea what that thing is.
Because it had the round.
I didn't see it clear enough.
It had the round hand limb thing, and that's something we have seen on Zillo.
That was its tail.
I don't know.
That was its tail.
Or it's another creature that they could have been cloning or something, because they literally stopped and then went underground, and it's where the Empire, facility is at the Forge.
I think you're way off base.
I could be.
I don't think there's any connection. I think you'll never hear about that animal again. I think it was
probably
just
not
a plot device.
And you might be right. You might be right. I'm just saying what I was originally thinking as I was seeing it. Obviously, I thought Mythosaur first because I texted you only when I saw the thing scrubbing, but obviously that was not the Mythosaur when it revealed itself. So yeah, so then the Mandalorians make their way underground for cover. They come to the Forge, which is the original Forge of Mandalore and kind of what their civilization revolves around. And as they're like admiring it, all of a sudden they start hearing other jetpacks coming in, which turns out to be they first like, oh, there's more Mandalorian survivors. No, it's essentially jet troopers that are flying in that are Imperial, and they start engaging and fighting and everything. The only gripe I had about this part is why show people like either Mandalorians or these jet troopers falling to their death when they have jetpacks? Like, I don't think they ran out of fuel that fast, because there's even further on in the fight, they're all still using it, but I don't know.
Also, it makes me question why no one else would come to Mandalore with all those resources, of the Beskar. Like Moff Gideon said it too. Oh man, this freaking place is so resource rich. Like, I mean, don't you think some of the cartels, or whatever you want to call them, the shadow organizations in Star Wars would have risked it to find that? I don't know. I mean, completely irrelevant, but just something that's a bit of a plot hole.
Well, maybe some people did seek it out, but then ended up getting killed by the Empire.
I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how long the Empire's been there. I don't know.
I would assume since the bombing of it. That would just be my assumption.
Yeah.
I do want to go back because I think this was important too, talking about when they're back on that Mandalorian pirate ship thing, that Paz and Axe are playing that game, and it gets pretty competitive, and they actually start fighting over this game. And then it's made mention that once this fight starts, neither side can intervene. They kind of have to duel it out. But then Grogu steps in and kind of stops the fight. And Bo makes that mention of, you've taught your apprentice well. And Din was like, that wasn't me that taught that. So that makes me feel like that was a learning that he took from Luke going back from his training at
that
the
was
Jedi.
My interpretation too.
So I thought that was pretty cool. That's showing that he's still retaining his Jedi training that he learned from Luke on top of, still learning from Din as well. Anyways, going back to what we were talking about, you've got this fighting taking place between the Empire and the Mandalorians. It seems like the Mandalorians have won, which again, like they're like, there's too many of them. We can't defeat them. And someone leaves to go get help. Yet they end up like defeating them easily. And they make their way like pursuing them. And that's when they come across the Imperial compound. They see all the bombers and the interceptors, the ships. And then obviously it was a trap. Like they were trying to draw them in to take care of them. And then like a gate comes down and separates some of the Mandalorians from the main group, including Din. Din was one of them.
Again, Bo-Katan had the Darksaber. She could start cutting that thing right away, but she didn't wait till the very, very end.
Right. Yep. So all the other Mandalorians that got caught with Din got taken out. Din was the last one. They kind of take him captive, and then this obviously leader figure in kind of a Mandalorian / Imperial armor walks out. Turns out to be Moff Gideon, and he starts, boasting and saying, we're going to eliminate the Mandalorians from the universe. But every culture serves its purpose. I thought that was a fascinating line. And he talked about for Jedi, it was cloning. And now for the Mandalorians, it's the armor and the Beskar. And now he's created like the ultimate Death Trooper using Beskar armor. So
has he really though? Like they seem to go down like slightly armored flies.
Well, I don't think those jet troopers are wearing that armor that he's talking about.
Are. They absolutely are.
I thought Death Troopers were black.
No, so every one of those troopers was wearing Beskar. They even said it.
Yeah,
they're wearing Beskar. Like when
they showed some of them getting back up though after they were shot. Like they were getting shot and they were getting back up. Like there were definitely scenes of that, and then there were scenes where the Mandalorians had to jump and like shoot them in the neck and stuff in between the armor.
Yeah, like John Wick in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I interpreted it differently. I thought that it was a different troop or something that they were talking about, because I thought back to like
they were all wearing Beskar.
The droid like Death Troopers that they had that were all black and everything. I thought this was something that would be looks similar to that, but maybe I'm wrong. Either way, they Moff Gideon calls out to Bo-Katan and essentially like tell them like surrender or whatnot. Bo-Katan and the crew are like, nope, this is the way.
Bo was there.
Well, he's just calling out to the Mandalorians, like,
but he didn't know Bo was there because when she spoke up, he's like, oh,
right. But the Mandalorians they resisted and they're like, no, this is the way, and fight back. So the Paz Vizsla starts going on a rampage, like shooting all of them. Meanwhile, Bo-Katan is using her Darksaber to kind of cut through the wall to give an escape to all the Mandalorians, which they all start fleeing. They all get out, except Paz, and they start calling him like, come on, come on, come on. And then he puts down the lift gate or the door and says, essentially, this is the way for him to stay. He'll buy them time for them to flee. And long story short, he mows down all the remaining troops. Then the Praetorian Guards come in.
Yeah, we're guards.
There's 3 of them, and they take him down pretty easily. So
yeah, rip Jon Favreau.
Yeah, rip Jon Favreau. Which I'm glad they actually like killed him. I don't like when they leave it open. Like, is this guy actually dead or is this guy still alive?
Yeah,
100% gone. I mean, this guy is dead. And then that's kind of where the episode ends and it cuts to credits. So yeah,
phenomenal.
A lot of good stuff.
Great episode.
12 out of 10.
So
I don't like, it was the same thing that happened in Obi-Wan. It's like, why are you cutting that side of the door? like you have a bunch of Mandalorians cut on the other side of the door and help the people. Like, go help Din Djarin.
Well, I think
from the get-go.
I think
get-go.
I think they understood that the Empire's objective was not necessarily them, but they probably knew that the other ships were out there orbiting. And I think they're trying to get back to them to warn them of what's coming.
But they already had a guy that they sent to do that. And they
didn't
beat
he didn't know that compound was there, though.
Yeah, that's right.
He didn't know Gideon was there. He left before. He was trying to
and it was the armor she left. It was that left with the wounded characters, right?
No,
yeah.
they
but then there's that guy that they sent out. But
right.
they still hadn't come across the Imperial compound.
I get it, but they still know that the Empire is there.
Because that guy was going to he was going to go to get help to bring down to where they were. And I think Bo is like, we need to get back up there so we can get out of here and regroup.
Theory.
Let's hear your theory.
I think the New Republic is going to come and help.
Let's hope. I would like to see a non-frivolous government, like a stronger but weak but sort of moving in the right direction government, maybe.
Like my theory is that the one pilot,
Captain Teva,
thinks that one chick is up to no good. She was being tailed, and so they knew that this was going to happen. They come and rescue him. That is probably wrong. That's just what I really want to see.
That would tie up that story, though.
I think you're right,
because it would make sense.
I think you're right. I think this is what's going to happen. If it's a cliche ending as normal, what's going to happen is the Empire is going to go and they're going to start engaging the fleet that's orbiting, and everything's going to be doom and gloom and be like, we're screwed. And then that's when the New Republic comes in and helps them out. That's what I'm predicting.
What if we get a Han Solo cameo?
Oh God, don't even.
Can you imagine?
Don't even plant that seed. Like, I don't.
Can you imagine if the Falcon?
That would be amazing.
Past them, yeah.
Last episode on each season, something like that happens. So you got the Darksaber that showed up the last season of the last episode of the first season. You had Luke Skywalker that showed up in the last episode of the second season. You're going to get something again.
Maybe
what if we get Han and Luke?
Oh my God. Stop it, guys. Stop it.
Han in the
I don't want to set my expectations up here.
Luke helping them in the ground.
Oh my God.
We won't get that. I'm just
You could get something like Hera. You could get something Hera and Zeb with the New Republic coming in.
Yes, that makes sense. And then an Ahsoka, maybe.
Yeah,
I think 1,000% Ahsoka will be coming.
I think that's what you'll get. Like, I would love, trust me, I would love to see Han. I mean, that's still relevant. Han and Leia could easily play a part in that.
Yeah.
Well,
sets up the resistance.
Another reality is they have to tie up this line of Empire, right? Because I think they foreshadowed the Necromancer program, right? Mm-hmm. Knowing that that's like truly where things are going to go, and then Gideon's storyline does not continue past this.
Yeah, I could see it ending here. That
would make sense to me.
I hope it's where Bo-Katan kills him.
Yeah, I would like to see that end. Like, I don't want it to be close to ending and then he gets away again. He's already gone away. Like, let's not continue that. Let's pass.
Plus, they're setting Thrawn up.
I was just going to say, plus we're passing the baton on to Thrawn. So
yeah,
Gideon's story can come to an end here, and I would be totally okay with that. But so
part of me wonders if we get a Thrawn counterattack though, too. Like maybe he jumps from, like, that would be interesting.
Yeah, you could get that.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's so much. I'm excited for the finale now.
I know. I'm just sad that there's just one episode left.
Yeah, we gotta wait till Ahsoka. So I guess we have visions. We have visions in a few weeks.
Well, yeah, and that's going to drop last year. I think it did, or first season it did every episode released on the same date, right?
I'm sure they'll do the same thing.
Dude, I was laughing hysterically watching the trailer and seeing the Wallace and Gromit one.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Pulls the arms off. the Wookiee pulls the arms off the stuffed animal. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
that got me. But that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. And I'll give a plug. We did do trailer reaction videos to both the Ahsoka trailer and the Visions trailer. If you haven't seen those, go check it out. But yeah, it looks pretty good. It looks like a lot of emphasis on saber fighting, and it feels pretty dark for the Visions volume 2. I guess they're calling them volumes, not seasons. So I'll adjust to that. But that one guy, he looked so much like Darth Malgus, but it can't be him.
He does.
It can't be him, right? It looked like a mix of Darth Malgus and the Inquisitor we got in the last episode of Tales of the Jedi, because he had that kind of longer face that comes down. So I don't know. It just looked like a hybrid of the two to me. But so yeah. Anything else on chapter 23? Spies that we want to quickly touch on before we call it a day?
Chapter 24.
Nothing for me. I gotta call it a night actually at this point too.
You gotta what?
I gotta hop off here.
Oh, you gotta yeah.
He's hitting the wrap.
Yeah.
Wrap button. So before we jump off, I'll just make quick shout outs to our social media handles. So you can find us on Twitter at DetBlock AA23pod.
Real quick.
Oh yeah.
We're not doing the competition because our polls didn't get approved.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that's probably because of Celebration, and with these Star Wars Facebook groups, they're probably getting a lot of posts the past few days. Yeah, we're not skipping it. We just, our polls didn't get dropped into those or approved in those groups until today, actually. So we'll carry that over to the next week to bring you the results. Granted, at that time, we'll probably have so much more to say about the final chapter of Mandalorian. We might have to push that back another week. But anyways, just to talk to our social media handles, you can find us on Twitter at DetBlock AA23pod, on Instagram at Detention_block AA_23, and then our Facebook group and YouTube channels, Detention Block AA23, a Star Wars podcast. Bring us your likes, comments, follows, downloads, subscriptions, reviews, all of that. We greatly appreciate. Bring us your dead, anything. No, all those things go a long way for us in terms of getting our podcast name out there. So we greatly appreciate any downloads, subscriptions, follows. And it doesn't take much. It just takes a click of a button. So, or maybe a few keys, but greatly appreciate it. So yeah, anything else?
If you can go to Pornhub, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel.
We're on Pornhub?
What?
We're on Pornhub.
If you can go to Pornhub, you can subscribe.
I thought you meant that like on Pornhub, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel.
I made some videos we should probably talk about.
I'm curious. Actually, I'm not curious.
It's actually on OnlyFans.
Oh God. I also do want to call it. I don't know why talking about that made me think of it, but Zach and I are wearing the exact same shirt right now.
We are
sporting our Celebration.
I really
20.
I don't know
22 shirts. He told me before you jumped on.
Yeah, I got on. And I saw the shirt.
I'm just saying
the same one.
You went from OnlyFans, so you guys are wearing the same shirt.
Well, you know, and OnlyFans or Pornhub, they take off their clothes, so I'm referring to our clothes.
Yeah, I don't know. We do the opposite.
We do the opposite. All right. Well, with that, we will wrap it up.
You're welcome, guys.
Thanks for listening to us today. Have a great rest of your day, rest of your evening, rest of your week, and we look forward to bringing you the final chapter of Mandalorian next week, and then the following week we'll give you our recaps of Bad Batch because we still need to dive into that stuff. So we'll save that for its own episode. But with that, thanks again, and as always, may the Force be with you. You got to say that louder, Dustin.
Damn it. It doesn't even make sense, to be honest with you. I'm excited for Thrawn.
So may the Force be with what? What'd you say?
Thrawn.
Oh, okay. No, that's good. That's good.
It doesn't make any sense.
It's a good one.
I'll take it.